Kristof Deak, congratulations on your Oscar nomination for the short
Thank you.
film Sing. You're welcome. So where were you when you got the news that you'd been nominated? How did it feel?
In my hometown, Budapest, capital city of Hungary. So yeah, basically myself and a few people from the crew, we gathered to watch the announcement together. And, we were kind of getting ready to console each other in case we didn't get through. And then instead we were jumping in joy.
Well, were you expecting it at all? I mean, had you seen any of the other films that were on the short list, or?
I did manage to get I did manage to get some links to watch some of them, not all of them, but they all seem to be really, really good films. So in my head, I was like kind of preparing for not going through, just to save myself from the kind of emotional impact. And I was really, really surprised when we did. Yeah.
Well, congratulations again. It's no easy feat getting nominated for an Oscar. Let's talk a little bit about the movie. Tell us what this film is about.
So Sing is a story set in the 90s, and it's about a 10-year-old little girl named Sophie. She joins the new school. She feels a little bit out of place at first, but then she's allowed to join the big famous choir of the school, only to find out a little bit later that the choir director is a very ambitious teacher, and she has some unorthodox methods to keep the choir in tune all the time. And yeah, let's not spoil anything else.
That's a very good pitch. Where did the idea for the movie come from?
Well, I was living in London at the time. That was in 2012, and a friend of mine, a flatmate of mine, she was from Sweden, and she told me the story of how she got told when she joined a big famous choir in her school at the age of 10, how she was told not to sing out loud, basically, in the choir, and which is what happens to Sophie in the story. And then, so basically, the cruelty, the injustice of this just really captured my imagination. And then we took it away with my co-writers, Bex Harvey and Christian Azzola, and we wrote a first draft. First, we set it in England. It didn't quite work as well, and then we just put it on the shelf. And then I took it out again in 2014 and dusted it off and rewrote it for Hungary. And this time it kind of came to life, and that's how the film was eventually made.
What do you think the change of setting sparked? Why do you think that helped it, in your mind, take shape?
I think it's just, and every story has like good wines, perhaps. They need some time to mature in my head as well. It needed those 2 years to really sort of boil down to its simplest and most compact form, which is really helpful when you're talking about a short film. You only have like 15, 20, 25 minutes to tell an entire story arc. So it needed that time, as well as my own experiences, perhaps. So my experiences growing up in Hungary really helped sort of to bring this whole story world alive in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh no, sorry. I was just going to ask. You mentioned trying to tell a compact story, since this is a 25-minute short. Can you talk a little bit more about trying to tell an entire 3-act structured story within 25 minutes? What are the challenges of that?
I think you just have absolutely no time to waste on anything, which is great, by the way. It's as you said, we kind of designed it as a 3-act story, so with kind of 8-minute acts ish, and the act breaks properly. So all you need to do is have each of your 3 acts be as compact as possible, and just deliver them as quickly as possible, while also being mindful of not keeping it too dry. So you still have to introduce characters, you still have to set up the story properly in the first act, and raise the stakes a little bit for your main character. And So everything is done the same way as it is in like feature films or hour-long TV. It's just done in a shorter amount of time, I guess.
And in terms of getting the movie put together, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are watching this who are wondering how to make their first short films. So how do you get the financing and assemble all the necessary parts for something like this?
Oh, I was really lucky that way. I come from Hungary, as I mentioned, and in Hungary here we have a funding scheme for short films. So this is run by the Media Council, and what they do is they fund about 12 short films. I think they've even raised it up to 20 short films a year, in order to help young directors launch their career and basically, put down their mark and that sort of thing. So they picked my story out of I think 100 applications as one of the 10 or 12 films that year. So the application part was hard, and then basically after that we were financed. So that was I mean, it's not I don't know if I can discuss budgets, but it's not a huge amount of money if you have to pay proper wages to your crew, which is what you have to do if you're working on government funding. So we were still a little bit tight budget wise, but we were much better off than if we just wanted to just go come out of nowhere and just do a Kickstarter or something. So that way I had it easy in comparison to some of my earlier projects.
Right. Let's talk about the casting. The film centers on three pivotal roles, two of them for young girls. The one you mentioned, Sophie, who's told not to sing, and then her friend, and then the teacher. Talk a little bit about finding the right actors for those roles.
Well, that was a hard part. I mean, for the kids anyway, because after we found them, they were just absolutely brilliant, and the work was done. So, but finding them, I worked with brilliant casting director Andrea Steinhauser, and she specializes in kids, and she gathered 80 really talented kids. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but they were actually experienced actors. So 80 kids who all had some drama experience or acting experience in theater or TV or movies. And so we looked at each and every one of them in 3 rounds of auditions, and then narrowed it down to 20, then 6, then 2. And well, basically, it's a really nice situation when you can pick from 80 really talented kids, and finding the 2 best is almost like it's a huge luxury to have that. But then when we found Dorka and Dorothea, the 2 actresses in the film, I mean, after that, literally it was like smooth sailing from there. They are so immensely talented and amazing. And both of them are very exceptional in terms of things outside of acting. Like, they're really good students as well, and one of them's an Olympic diver. Basically, there's a very high probability she's going to the Olympics as a diver in 2020. The other one works in the circus, so she studies right now becoming a circus artist. And both of them have their stunt qualifications, so they're basically qualified stunt women at the age of 12, which is amazing. So yeah, so that's the kind of kids they are. There's just nothing, nothing is impossible for them. So really inspiring kids.
Mm-hmm. And then the teacher, who's the main villain of the piece.
Yeah, she is Zsófia Samosi. She's a quite Hungarian theater and film actor, and I've known her for about 10 years, I think, through a friend, and I've been to her stage plays. She's with a brilliant independent theater company. They are actually touring the East Coast at the moment. They were just in New York last week, and they had a brilliant review in the New York Times. So Zsófia is fast becoming a really well-known face name in Hungarian cinema. And the reason I picked her was because she basically came in to to chat with me about the role and do a little audition tape. And straight away, she analyzed every layer of this really simple story exactly the way I intended it, and all the small, nuances of meaning that I intended to be there were there in her interpretation as well. So, I mean, I was just insanely lucky with these wonderful actors.
Mm-hmm. So then take us on to the set. As you said, you're working with a limited budget. And most people say don't work with children. Not only have you got 2 lead children, but you've got an entire choir full of them as well.
Wow.
So was it difficult wrangling all these child actors on the set?
I mean, we were concerned at first. I think one of the keys to the success of this shoot, we had an insanely fast turnaround. I'm saying insane a lot, right? So we had a really fast turnaround. We scheduled the whole thing to be shot in just 5 days.
Wow.
Which is a 25-minute film with kids. That's not you want to go for usually. So what happened was we had a choir with a really, really nice choir director, teacher. The kids were very, respectful of her. There was really good communication. So anything we've asked of the kids through her was just there like that. So apart from that, we had a drama teacher with us. So anytime the kids weren't in front of the camera, we would send them off to this faraway classroom, to some other end of the school, to just play drama games with this drama teacher guy and just be noisy over there. So slowly, like basically hour by hour, as they came back to shoot with us, they got better and better and opened up in terms of like acting and improvisation and all of that, which was great. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, those were the 2 key things probably. And my 2 main actors, the 2 main girls, they were just amazingly disciplined. And there was absolutely no need to like wrangle them in any way. They behaved like professional grown-up actors. So
mm-hmm. So then you're able to talk to them, as I assume you
absolutely, yeah. That's the fantastic thing. I think if you turn to kids, even if they're 12-year-olds, like they know a lot about the world, and you can discuss things with them. You can discuss layers of the script with them. And we actually did a lot of improv with the 2 girls. They even improvised an entirely new scene for the script, which didn't end up in the film because it would have made it too long. But that's the kind of level you can work with children at. So if you treat them as equals, then there's just so much you can gain from that relationship.
Mm-hmm. What was the most difficult scene for you to shoot?
Wow. I think the most difficult one is the finale, which is it was just logistically kind of really hard. The finale of the film, I'm probably not going to spoil anything if
I know what you're doing, yeah. But
it's a concert scene, so we had a lot of extras and audience. We had to fill a lot of seats, and it's an intense scene. So and we kind of didn't have a lot of time to shoot it, so we ended up. I have to confess, we ended up having to go back to do a day of reshoots. Partly to do close-ups we just couldn't finish on time, and partly to reshoot a couple of scenes that didn't come out the way we intended. So a few months after the original principal photography, we went back and redid those scenes. And yeah, but that was probably the most intense part, the last final day of our shoot for the final scene.
Mm-hmm. What does it do for you, Kristof? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I've asked Zsofia Samosi, the lead actress playing Miss Erica, the teacher. I think I've asked her to take quite a leap of faith in doing what she did in that scene. So, but she is an amazingly brave person. So she just went to the exact places I wanted her to go. So,
absolutely. I was going to ask, working on that kind of budget and time constraints, what does that do for you creatively? I guess it makes you have to be very judicious with the kind of coverage that you're going to get.
That's actually true, and I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you thinking simpler, thinking, you know, just doing things in a much more simple and clever way rather than going all fancy and just covering everything and then deciding everything in the edit. And I'm lucky to have the experience of an editor. I used to work as an editor, so I'm pretty good at being able to tell if we have the shot or we don't, or if we, you know, I kind of shoot for the edit. So so that way we could kind of stay economical with our choice of shots, and yeah, I guess that helped us make this whole thing happen in just 5+1.
Mm-hmm. Last question: if you win the Oscar, are you going to give a speech or just mime it?
Great idea. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Never thought of that. Well, if I get to say a few words, I'm going to use them to best effect. Let's try it.
Absolutely.
But
well,
you know what? It's mind-boggling to even think about that possibility. So I try not to. Just
well, if you're at a loss for words, at least you'll have a creative excuse for it. Kristof, thank you so much, and again, congratulations on the nomination. You're welcome.
Thanks
Have a good
very
one.
much.
You're welcome.
Bye.